Okay, so in the previous training we talked about closing, and that series goes really smoothly if that person is what we call a red apple. A red apple as in they're ready to get started, they're an A, okay, but majority of the time you're gonna have to handle some objections, but you'll notice it's always the same handful of objections. So if you just master on how to handle these, then you're really not gonna be intimidated. You'll actually have a lot of fun closing and handling these objections. Now, again, YouTube Matt Morris, Matt Morris, Handling Objections. Matt Morris, Handling Objections, and he has an 8-episode series that's excellent in seeing his posture, his body language, and he talks about the same format that he goes through every time. But again, I'm going to do this to kind of tailor it to Kayani. Now, and this is also kind of a hybridized version of handling objections between Matt Morris and a few other mentors and leaders in the industry of network marketing. Now, let's just say someone says, I don't have the time, or I don't have the money. Then if you did the closing series right, you should have gotten their why, their hot button, when you asked, how would this benefit you? And they say, well, I would love to, retire my spouse, or retire my parents, or pay off student debt. Let's just go with one. Pay off my crushing student debt. I have like $100,000 in debt thanks to my master's that I'm not using, right? And then you just say, hey, look, I understand. Now, is it that you're dead serious about paying off your student debt and retiring your parents, and you really just don't have the time? Or is that you're not serious at all about paying off your student debt and retiring your parents, and you just don't want to hurt my feelings? And they go, no, I'm serious, right? So they're giving you their word, their commitment. Okay, well, so what did I just say, time? Let's see here. So let's just say they really don't have the time. Okay, cool. And then you just kind of help them take inventory of their time. Well, how many hours a week are you working right now? And then you tell them examples about how this really does not require a lot of time. A lot of people choose to because it pays out so lucratively, but majority, and I tell them, out of the 17,000 people in our organization, about 95% of them still work a full-time job, and some of them, a lot of them have kids, and they still work this business part-time, and they're still able to generate an extra few $1,000s a month, or even $1,000 a week. And that makes a huge difference for a lot of people. And they're just like, oh yeah, you're right. So I'm sharing stories about other people, or I even share Brad Parkhill, who's right now a diamond, and I say he matched his full-time job income around Ruby or Emerald, but he deliberately hung on to his full-time job until he hit diamond just to prove to his team that you can do this part-time. And they're like, wow, right? Because as we always say, facts tell, stories sell. Yes, this is designed to be a part-time business. That's a fact. Now share a testimonial or a story of one of the leaders or someone in your organization who's making it happen anyway. Okay? That way they can connect with somebody and they feel, I can do this. I really can do this. And you also let them know the leverage concept. Look, you don't even have to physically be there. One, we have an awesome online platform that you can be sharing the business while you're at work and prospects are taking a look. Or you just get them in front of me and I close them out for you and I grow your business for you. And as soon as we get those first 3 people in for you, I'm working with their people. So you're still benefiting from it. So really, it doesn't take that much time. So if you're serious about XYZ, then we can totally make it happen. Does that make sense? They say yes. Great. And then move into the closing series again. So which package do you see yourself getting started with? Right? Okay. Now, same thing with I don't have enough money. There's a few ways that you could handle this one, and I've seen a lot of awesome rebuttals. Some of them are just like, okay, well, how much longer do you want that to be the situation? How much longer do you want to be in that? Do you want that to be the case? Okay? Or if you don't do anything different now, what's going to change? There's going to be another $5.99 problem, whether it's like a flat tire or another medical bill, something like that, medical emergency. But let this be the last $5.99 problem that we ever have. Right? And you look at them with confidence. Again, confidence is everything in closing. Another thing, like I love to share stories, especially David Nieves. I say, look, David Nieves, right now a green diamond, averaging about $60,000 a month right now, he didn't have the money either. And it's okay. It's nothing to be embarrassed about because a lot of people are in that situation. But what he realized, actually, he was a professional dancer and owned his own dance studio. And then he actually was in an accident and broke both of his feet. And they're usually like, wow, yes, because what am I doing? I'm sharing stories. And you can use this one. Even if you don't know David personally, he's up here in the Dallas marketplace. He's actually everywhere, but he lives here in Dallas. And you just say, what's the story? Yeah, so he lost his ability to earn an income for like 5 months. He was about to, he was about to be evicted from his apartment. His car was about to be repossessed, okay? And he did not have $5.99 just laying around when he first saw this. Or $12.99 when he first saw this. But he understood that if he didn't do anything differently, his situation wouldn't change. So what he do? He went home to his garage, found a few items that he wasn't using, and then sold those, and he had about half the money. And then he actually went to his ex-girlfriend to get the other half, right? He was like, no ego here, right? But then what happened? 90 days later, he broke his first 5-figure month. So was it worth it? Yes, absolutely. Short-term sacrifice for long-term gain, right? So you just inspire them with these stories, and at the end of the day, that's what closes them. And you just let them know, look, I got your back. I got your back, okay? Now, the last 3 objections, when they say, I've seen something like this before, or I know someone who's done something like this. Now you have to, don't get overly defensive. It depends on the energy that they're saying it with. If they're just recalling and identifying, I've seen something similar like this, then you just ask, let's see, oh, well, ask what company they saw, oh, what was it? And I'm just curious, what kept you from getting on board with those companies, right? To see what turned them off, and then you talk about why Kyanie is different, okay? Or if they are hostile, they're like, I've seen something like this, right? Or I know somebody who's done something like this. Then if they're defensive, then you just say, well, first of all, let them talk it out. If they've had a bad experience, well, what happened, right? And they're just like, oh man, we didn't get any support. They just left me high and dry. It's turn and burn. There's lots of smokes and mirrors. We had so many sales quotas and stuff like that. Let them talk it out, and you're just listening, okay, like a professional. And then you just talk about why Kyanie is different. Look, we don't have quotas here. We have an amazing support system, blah, blah, blah. Everything that they just said, you counter it with why people are winning here. Now, and then you also kind of toss in, if they are like hostile like that, then you just say, okay, well, have you ever been in a relationship before that didn't work out? And they're like, yes. Okay, did that keep you from ever trying to date anyone again? Right? And they kind of laugh, but it's true. I've actually closed somebody like that before because it puts it in perspective. Right? Or have you ever heard of someone getting really bad food poisoning before? They're like, yeah, like what does that have to do with anything? And you just say, did that keep you from ever eating again? Right? You gotta make a joke out of it, but it's real. It's the same situation. Why would you apply that concept here then, right? When it could really change your life. So last 2, what makes Kyanie, so some people, what makes Kyanie different than all the other companies? And that's a valid question because sometimes people, they've been burned so many times. And here's what I say. You don't have to say this verbatim, but you could do your own version of it. Okay, well, first of all, the simplicity in the products. There's only 3 instead of a catalog, right? People are tired of that, and they're life-changing. The compensation plan is by far the most aggressive in the industry, and our leadership is second to none, and they truly want everyone to win here, right? There's no smokes and mirrors, and they put integrity first, but most of all, the timing. We are catching this on the ground floor, and the people who choose to partner in the next 30, 60, 90 days are going to reap massive benefit just because timing was on their side. And this has been the best decision I've ever made. Right? So that's what I say. That's how, and I say, does that answer your question? And they say, yeah. Now, if they're still on the fence, you just say, look, if they say, like, I'm not sure, I still have to think about it some more, then you just say, hey, look, it sounds like you just have a few more questions. What are your questions? And then get them on the phone or in person with your upline so you can bring in a third party. Last thing is this one of those pyramid schemes? Is this blah, blah, blah? And you say, well, what do you mean by that? Again, this is kind of similar to, I've seen this before. What do you mean by that? Because if they're just saying, is this one of those pyramid things? Because sometimes people get way too defensive when that person, that's just their word for network marketing. They don't mean it with any hostility. I've talked to a prospect and I said, well, what do you mean by that? And she's like, well, when you like recruit people and you have people sell some products and you get a percentage override. I said, yeah, that's exactly what this is. And she goes, oh, okay. And we just got back to the presentation, right? But some people, yeah, if they're like, is this one of those pyramid things? And then I just say, well, what do you mean by that? And they just talk about like, it's illegal because you're recruiting and like just moving money around. And I talk about, no, that's called a Ponzi scheme. First of all, and I said, I understand completely. I felt the same way. But when I took the time to actually educate myself, right, I found that pyramid schemes are actually illegal because you get paid purely to recruit others, and there's no exchange of money for product or money for service. But because we have an amazing product line here, not only is it a legitimate business, but we really do get paid to care for others, share their product, and change people's lives. Yes, that does answer your question? Great. All right, so, and then follow answering all their questions with, so does that answer your question? Great, well, welcome aboard, shake your hand. So which package do you see yourself getting started with, $5.99 or $12.99? So I hope that helped. Just whatever you say it with confidence, and have fun closing. I'll see you in the next training.